Good morning. Great to have you joining me this morning on Thursday as we look at history makers and how God's word changed them. Today I want to look at C.S. Lewis. You know, C.S. Lewis, you may remember him. He wrote Chronicles of Narnia, a great teacher, philosopher, and he actually rejected Christianity in his early teens. And he lived as an atheist through most of his 20s. And then in 1930, while talking with his friend J.R.R. Tolkien, you may remember him from Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, he was a Christian, and they used to discuss Christianity. And we say that C.S. Lewis's move towards Christianity was a slow and gradual one. In 1930, he records this. He says, "Now the story of Christ is simply a true myth, a myth working on us in the same way as the others, but with the tremendous difference that it really happened." He writes this down as he writes his story about how he moves from atheism to theism, believing in something, that there has to be something more to this life. And J.R.R. Tolkien is the one that helps him in this. And then in 1931, we see that he makes the final step into Christianity. And he says in his memoirs, he says, "I know very well when, but not how the final step was taken. I was driven to Whipsnade one sunny morning, and when we set out, I did not believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God. And when we reached the zoo, I did. Yet I do not know exactly, I had not exactly spent the journey in thought." This is his memoirs as he writes, as his journey from being an atheist to coming to Christ, and was over this period of time. In his 1955 memoir, Surprised by Joy, he famously tells his readers this, that he had finally abandoned his resistance to God, becoming the most dejected and reluctant convert in all of England. That's quite a message to think of yourself, that eventually he abandoned his resistance. God had been working on him through his friends, through scripture. And it reminds me of Matthew 16, as Jesus asks his disciples this question, and Peter answers. Jesus turns around to him in Matthew 16 and says, "What about you?" he asked. "Who do you say I am?" So Simon Peter answered, "You are the Messiah, the Son of the living God." Jesus replied, "Blessed are you, Simon, son of Jonah, for this was not revealed to you by flesh and blood, but by my Father in heaven. And I tell you that you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of Hades will not overcome it." So a couple questions for today, as we think about C.S. Lewis and his gradual move towards Christ and that final commitment. Who do you say Christ is? Who do you say Christ is? And what has been your journey? What has been your journey towards coming what you may think is a myth? As C.S. Lewis said, it was a true myth. He realized that it actually did happen as he looked at the evidence before him. So those are quite a few challenges from this passage and his story. Who do you say Christ is, and what is your journey? And lastly, so mindful of J.R.R. Tolkien and his influence in C.S. Lewis's life. He was that Christian influence. How are we supposed to be that in the world around us? Helping people see what they may think is just a story or a fairy tale of who Christ is, to be able to interact and show people that Christ is real, that he never gives up on us. So let's pray. Lord, just thank you for your word. Thank you that you asked that question of us, who do you say I am? And that we need to respond to that kind of a question. Thank you that you never give up. You pursue us. Pray and thank you for that in Jesus' name. Amen. Have a great Thursday. Great to see your comments online. Some of you have been doing, and we'll see you again in our final one of History Makers tomorrow. Be blessed.